Good afternoon. Thank you. Just on the National Reconstruction Fund, we know that billions of dollars have been committed, but they remain largely undeployed. I guess similar to Senator Ruston's, Senator Hume's line of questioning. I'm curious to understand what's causing the delays in these funds being allocated to projects.
Thank you, Senator, for the question. I do want to be really clear on this. You know, we have made 12 investments. There's $670 million of the fund committed. As at the end of June, we'd committed $584 million against the plan that we had of $550 million. So we're actually slightly exceeding our plan and our expectation of where we expected the fund to be at the 30th of June. What I would say, Senator, is we have committed to a significant increase in funding over the course of this 12-month period we're in, financial year 26, to lift that to a further $1.5 billion, and we're very focused at achieving that goal at the moment.
And what criteria do you expect projects to meet in order for that funding to be allocated?
I'll take that one. So as discussed previously, we have a very defined investment process which is applied to all the proposals that we get for financing. There is a specific process which starts with screening that we sometimes call it the can we step. So it's looking at proposals and do they align with our act and mandate, and are they eligible. Once we determine that a project is eligible as by our act and mandate, then we go through a number of specific due diligence steps to make sure that this is an investment which will generate a commercial return as per our act and mandate, and a commercial return which is in line with the risk. There are a number of very specific steps to that due diligence, including commercial due diligence, legal due diligence, intellectual property due diligence, ESG due diligence. I can go through the rest of the list. We have these investments go to the Executive Investment Committee for voting between Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the due diligence process, and they go back to the Investment Committee for Phase 2 voting, and then after that they go to the board or the board investment committee for voting. So that is the process by which we determine whether these projects are in line with our criteria for investment.
And the anticipated timeline for those phases to be completed, what do you guys anticipate that to be?
It varies widely depending on the type of investment. So, for example, if you have a relatively small equity investment and where there is time constraints from the counterparty, that can be very quick, I think, measured in weeks. If you have a very large project finance, which includes billions of dollars of financing and includes multiple counterparties, including potential international counterparties, those types of projects can take between 12 and 18 months in terms of due diligence. So it really just depends on the nature of the financing opportunity.
Are there fund coordinators in place to fast-track the allocation of funds?
I'm not exactly sure what you mean by fund coordinator, but every deal that comes into the NRF is treated equally, regardless of how it comes in. And then there are people on the investment team whose job it is to go through the different phases of the due diligence for different types of investments, debt or equity or project finance.
How many projects have been approved in WA?
I would have to take that on notice. We have made investments in WA. Arafura, the investment commitment David mentioned before, the headquarters is in WA. Liontown is an investment which is in WA. So I would say 2, but I will take the exact number on notice.
Please, and if you could also put the amount that was allocated to the project. So, yeah, thank you. Are there any changes needed to increase the speed at which the funds can be allocated? Not just speed, but efficiency, getting the money out the door, essentially?
As David mentioned, we are actually ahead of budget for the last year, so we are pleased with the speed in which we deployed, particularly in the first year. As David mentioned, our first investment wasn't until November, and so if you annualize from November till the end of June, we are pleased with that level of efficiency. Certainly as a new organization, which the NRF is, there are always areas where we can improve the efficiency. Having a larger investment team is a possibility there, but improving the efficiency is something that we're always looking at. we are comfortable with the pace that we are investing at currently and are on track to meet our investment
So if you were to
horizon.
put a figure, my math's not great, what is the how much of the funds have you pretty much, have been allocated in percentage terms, would you say?
Look, I'm happy to take that,
Yep.
Senator. So the amount that I mentioned before was $670 million committed. That's of the $15 billion fund. Now, obviously, it is a multi-year journey. We expect to do a further $1.5 billion in the financial year that we're just in. That should take us somewhere to around $2 billion and then progressively increase the amount deployed each year after that.
And it's over a how many year term?
Well, we would expect to have the full fund deployed sometime around 2030.
2030.
And just to be clear, it's not a defined fund. The intention is that as the NRF receives money back, they can recycle the loans. So it's not a defined limit. It's 15 billion over time, and once money's recouped from investments, it'll be reinvested back into the Australian industry landscape.
So loans will be paid back, equity may be sold. So
that was
it's not just an income
the
thing. I'm
reference
saying it's
made earlier. No, that's cool. And will the government regularly update the Senate on the deployment of the funds under the NRF, and how regularly should we anticipate for that to occur?
My experience, there is a very high level of interest in the public statements that the National Reconstruction Fund makes every time that it makes an investment. So that is, we'll be here at Senate Estimates regularly going through the kind of reports that Mr Gall has just taken the committee through. We're very anxious to be open about where those investments are and very happy at each estimates to go through that, and you can be pretty confident that when we make an investment, that if I can get there to tell people about it, I will.
This is a quarterly reporting requirement to Parliament.
Quarterly. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.